Good evening, fellow Tide fans and frenzies. Welcome to the Couchcasters podcast. It is Monday night, our new night of broadcasting. A little bit of change for the new year, moving to Monday nights. Appreciate you guys being flexible with your schedules there. So, pretty big show for the first Monday night show. I'd say we got a little bit of a topic to discuss.
Yes, it's funny leading up to it. We were kind of like, all right, I guess we can talk about the NFL or wild cards.
I know, dude. I made so many graphics for like the playoffs and all this stuff, like overlays and all this thumbnail for because we were going to talk NFL and then this news broke, so I scrapped it all.
Or it could have been, So I know we went on. I know we did the Wednesday stuff. I know that little quick intro when Saban, the GOAT, retired. I know we did a little input on that and I joined for a little bit, but I mean, that could have still been a topic of conversation, but we're talking about NFL playoffs. I'm sorry for your Steelers there, Jeff. It's rough situation there. Sorry about that.
And you get down 21-0 in the first half on the road in a playoff game.
Made it a game.
Why is it always the Bills? Why is it always the Bills too that pull this crap?
Well, this is vintage Steelers football for the last 8 years.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but this is Steeler playoff football in the recent history is rolling into a playoff game, get down by 2-3 scores and early, claw back, make it respectable, lose. That's why Tomlin hadn't won a playoff game in 8 years. We're approaching a decade since the last Steelers playoff win. That's ridiculous.
I will say somebody that's not, a Steelers, hardcore fan, given the state of Steelers football program as a whole, it is kind of an achievement. They made it to the wild card to begin with.
I mean, right. Like that works for the Falcons. Okay. This is Sixburg, man. We got 6 Lombardi trophies hanging up. So squeaking in the playoffs and getting smoked in the first round is not good enough.
Yeah.
We're not the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Or like if the Falcons do that every year, you're like, hey man, they get to the playoffs, they whatever, it's fine. But not Pittsburgh, the standard is more. And somehow it's been reset to non-losing seasons and nobody cares about the playoffs. And I'm like, come on. Like the playoffs is where you make your money, where you make your legacy, not this non-losing seasons, like 17 non-losing seasons, losing playoff record, 1 Super Bowl 13 or 15 years ago, AFC Championship game 11 years ago, last playoff win 8 years ago. I mean, it's like, at what point did the goalpost get moved back?
Yeah.
So
hopefully that would change.
That's a whole nother rant that I'll get on when we start talking about the Steelers and where we are currently.
Phoenix will fix it though.
I don't know. We'll see. But on to more important things. We've got a football coach, ladies and gentlemen.
We do. We
have a football coach. I don't think in our Saban Retire episode that none of us even mentioned Kalen DeBoer. I think it was all Dan Lanning and Lane Kiffin is where all of our talk was.
Yeah.
So we knew Jack. But that's where all of our discussion was is Lanning or Lane? Lanning or Lane? If Lanning turns it down, they're going to go right to Lane, because Sark's not even an option. And find out later that Sark's the only one that got an offer, and he turned it down. And then Byrne was right on to DeBoer after that. And so it shows you what we know, which is nothing.
It shocked me, to be honest.
But the guy is a winner. I know what's that?
I will say I'm not shocked that they offered Sark, but it's shocked that was the only one.
Yeah. Well, I think just kind of the way that the stories being read about, whatever, it's almost like, Sark was an offer because you had to make that offer. Like you got to aim high once. Obviously, he knows Kirby's off the board, so don't waste anybody's time. But Sark, you had to at least take that shot. Then he passed, but I think DeBoer is who Byrne had really been targeting all along.
Pick.
I think it's a great pick. Now we'll see. They all seem great now. Except Chiswick, that probably didn't seem as great, even though he won him a championship. But
hey, if you can't get Sark, get the guy that beat him twice.
About to say thrice, buddy.
Yeah. Or is it 3? Okay, I'm
mixing 3. Beat him twice this year and once last year.
Yeah.
Or no. My bad. Once this year, once last year, beat Oregon 3 times. Beat Lanning 3 times. So he's beat Lincoln Riley twice. So he's like 7-0 against Lincoln Riley, Dan Lanning, and Sarkisian.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Is Parker still with us?
I don't know. From a stats point of view, he looks really good. And then when he gave his speech, it was like, man, you are the guy. I understand what Greg was saying. Like, Greg was like, basically the moment I sat down and talked with him, I knew kind of quickly. It's like, yeah, this is the guy.
What up, Heather T? Well, thanks for the like, Scoop. What's up, Heather T? Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, I'm with you, man. It was like he wasn't on my radar, but then when his name started popping up, I started, well, let me look a little more into this guy. Let me look a little bit more about this guy. 104-12 stuff. 104-12. That's got to be a misprint, right?
Yeah, and he did it with non-SEC resources too, essentially.
Well, and I started looking, and I was like, a lot of these games he had the second most talented team on the field, and is winning these games. Washington was 4-8 the year before, and he went 11-2. That's a nice turnaround.
Yeah, incredible.
The guy's a winner. All right, the guy is a winner. He's been a winner everywhere he's went, and
flat out.
I know a lot of talk. We could all be eating our words a year from now, and it could be just the most abysmal situation we could imagine. You know what?
I'd be shocked though. If it was that much.
I would too. With the talent that we have on staff currently, on roster currently, God forbid we lose any more. But I say that, but guess what? Today's college football is this. It is just a mess, people. And I'm not speaking by my crimson and white glasses here. I'm speaking as a whole to college football.
College football glasses.
To everybody, yes. To everybody out there. Do y'all really like this? Do y'all really, really care? Because the Isaiah Bond situation, that's one thing. We at Alabama loved him. He's made numerous plays for us.
As one of the most iconic touchdowns in Alabama history.
Exactly. And guess what? He's gone.
Yeah.
So
all it took was a Lamborghini, apparently.
If you had begged the question 5 years ago, but 10 years ago, yes, there would have been things like this offered, but people would not have left. Players would not have left because there was a sense of loyalty and commitment. When you signed a letter of commitment or a letter of intent, that means you're committed to that team. And right now, there is no more loyalty. There is no more commitment. Somebody, whoever it is, whether it be Nick Saban, who becomes a commissioner of college football, or some people of power need to really get on this, because this is crazy. This is worse than the NFL. This is worse.
Oh, easily, yeah.
This is 10 times worse.
NFL has multi-year contracts.
There needs to
here's
be
the difference.
Caps.
The NFL has a system and rules and guardrails. The NCAA has zero. I can't even remember the coach's name, but I remember there's a coach on the Pat McAfee show that said the biggest misunderstanding that fans have around the whole NIL and transfer portal is that there's a system. There is no system. Let's just get out of the way.
It's Thunderdome.
Nothing.
It's Thunderdome. That's all it is.
It is the Wild West.
Every man for himself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it puts...
And what could go wrong? A bunch of rich people with no rules.
Yeah, and I know the NCAA did that basically as a middle finger to be like, well, we told you so. And that's exactly why they should be absolved.
It just made them more irrelevant. They could have been smart. They could have been smart and had some kind of hold on it. Players should have been compensated, okay? I know I've been one of the biggest critics of that. But now, that cat's out of the bag. You cannot go back. I'm sorry. That's the case.
No,
but
it's.
I mean,
one thing we can do now is put rules on it.
Yeah, all they did, guys, they just opened the top and said, "Go fish." Let's just see what happens. And it is anarchy. It is crazy.
Well,
there are some players who are getting paid more than professional football players.
But we don't even talk about the ones that they're like currently in lawsuits because they're promised all this money and then it turns out to be dust. And it's like, what?
Well,
we like to talk about, the multi-million-dollar football, but we don't talk about the ones that actually get screwed over in the process.
So here's what you need. I've told Jeff this too. Here's what you need. You need structure and rules in place. There needs to be cap limits. There needs to be limitations. If you sign a commitment to a school, you've got to stay at that school for X given amount of years, whatever it may be. And then after that, about the transfer portal, you get one free transfer after that initial said years. You get to play immediately. You want to transfer again, you have to sit out a year. Because these people just, Jeff, I think you said it earlier. You've mentioned it about people transferring within, like they'll commit to another school and then transfer again. We're talking about in 3 months.
Yeah.
This like in the same portal window. They'll enter the portal window.
Insanity.
It's just stupid, man. There's no rule.
Anybody be okay with this? I mean,
and you remember Saban saying this a couple years ago. He was like, "You guys don't want this problem. This is going to be a problem if we open Pandora's box with no structure. This is going to be a problem." And they said, "Shut up, old man," and they unleashed it. And it's 17-year-old kids shouldn't be driving Lamborghinis.
Yeah,
because
I don't blame.
Because they're good at high school football. That's nothing. You know how many good high school football players there are? Thousands.
I mean, that's why I don't blame him at age 72. Some guy that, he thought was on lock, he just now finds out, well, now he's thinking about going somewhere else because he's not guaranteed 100% playing time. It's like, well, I thought I just had you. Why do I now have to resell you?
Yes, we did this a year ago. I just sat in your living room a year ago and laid this all out. Why am I having to do this again?
Or about one of the examples he said where I guess it was either a prospect or a transfer portal recruit. I don't know what you want to call it now, but one of the things was that individual wanted $500,000
and his girlfriend for free college or some crap like that.
He wanted his mom.
Yeah, it was for his girlfriend.
Mom's law school. His girlfriend's mom to go to law school or something.
Law school at Alabama and it to be paid for.
Yeah, that's a cheap bill. A law school at Alabama. I'm sure that's fairly cheap.
Not it very expensive, but
like
then
$1 million in tuition.
I mean, good God, you look at it and you're like, and he said, "Okay, well, we don't need you. Goodbye."
Here's the door.
Here's what I'm saying, and if I've got any plead or anything to give advice, I know I am ranting tonight. That is one of my things, but you know what? It's to the players that actually know what the sense of loyalty means and commitment to a team. It's everything going on right now with Coach DEBO that we just hired. Like, give the guy a chance. Everything I'm hearing on the bond situation too, that's some pretty messed up stuff. If he didn't even take the new coach's call, if this is true, now we're all speaking into it. We weren't there. We're hearing word of mouth, right? But you hear this and you're like, all you cared about was the bag of money, your NIL deal, what you're going to make. If this is, as I said, if this is all true.
It's one thing it feels like, because he did say, I did leave because Coach Saban retired. That's okay, one thing.
He's changed his story 4 times.
Yeah, he's been 100% on like 3 different reasons.
Yeah.
I can't trust somebody that says something like that. And I mean, Jeff, I think you pointed out, you said his tweet was because I'm going to be great. Quinn's a great QB. We're going to be the best duo.
One of the top QBs in the draft. I'm going to be a top pick in the draft. We're going to be an amazing duo. And so I looked at the stats between Ewers and Milroe. I mean, there's not. Ewers has about 500 more passing yards. That's about it. Milroe got more touchdowns. More running touchdowns, obviously, too.
Is that just for last season?
Just last season.
Yes.
And Ewers had over 100 more pass attempts than Milroe did. And so it's like, don't tell me that Ewers is.
And played what? Milroe
played Jaden Daniels.
Game, by the way. One less game.
Well, I think Ewers missed the start.
Ewers giving you a grave digger moment. Let's just say that.
Yep.
I don't know. Just go. You don't have to throw shade at your old teammates on the way out the door. Man, if you don't want to be here, then get out of here. But you don't need to be firing off shots at your brothers on the way out.
I want people to care about this right here. That right there. Can you see that? They care about the Tide. Care about the Tide. Care about the Crimson.
Cares about nothing but the Tide.
What they get? Roll Tide Willie's right when it comes to that. I mean, we had bad years. We've had some bad times. We've had some great times. And, we're coming off the Saban era and everything. And, expectations are high. I get that. But I'll also say this to the average fan out there. Just be grateful. Be grateful for what you saw with Saban. Hunter, you and I, Scott, Cameron, we are spoiled rich when it comes to football, all right? Especially Alabama football. We saw many, many, many wins rather than losses. And that's a lot to say for a lot of programs out there. I mean, heck, it took Michigan 30 years to win a national title to get back to it. It took us the same amount of time until Saban got there. 20 years, sorry. But still, same situation. So, grateful. Alabama fans need to really just reel into this, buy into this situation, okay? We are going to lose. I'm not going to overstate that. We're going to lose. And there's a lot of things that you're going to have to get used to that you're probably not comfortable with, as far as, how many. This is a whole new era. We're in a 12-team playoff now. You could have 3 losses and still somehow manage to squeak your way into a playoff. All right. So with everything is the expectations still need to be the standard to win a national title, but nobody's going to be able to replace what Nick Saban did. Okay. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. It's
my expectations is the same with every new head coach at a football program, is that you need to at least give them 3 seasons.
Yeah. Yes.
By the 3rd season, at that point, every player, every coaching staff has been his pick, because you do inherit a lot from the previous coach.
You did.
But by the 3rd season, if it's still stagnant, kind of like the Florida Gators are at this point, where they've been 6-6, it feels like, for the last 3 or 4 years, then it's like, all right, well, we need to make some changes.
They made y'all remember that SEC championship back in 2020? Y'all remember that? It was a shootout. And that was our best offense that we've ever had. Florida could have easily won that game if we'd given it to them. I mean, we'd not missed on a couple of those. They could have won it, and they could have gotten to the playoff. But, yeah, I agree.
Ole Miss that year, too. It just happened that we scored 60.
Get your popcorn ready? Was that year? Get your popcorn ready? Yeah.
I will say also, to add to your note, I do agree with you, Parker, that, it's going to be a very different, there are going to be losses and there are going to be wins. But you also have to keep in mind, just to keep it positive, you would think that a post-Bear Bryant era, that we would never get another Bear Bryant,
Yeah, we got a guy that had 30 more wins and 7 less seasons.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
while playing more games.
Now, here's the thing, though. I'll also state that. I'm glad you brought that up, Hunter. So, father being the way he is, as y'all just know how he is, giving his intuition on the situation. He's like, well, I've seen this before. And you have an all-time winning coach. Never thought you were going to have another Bear Bryant, right? And Saban came 30 years later. Well, in those 30 years in between that happened, a lot of ups and downs. Jeff, you can be the visual for us because we weren't alive. I know. I'm saying that as
saved yourself a lot of heartache by being born 20 years later.
The Perkins stuff I get, and then he kind of left in the middle of the night, high and dry, left Alabama high and dry. And you get Gene Stallings a Saban, or I'm sorry, a Bryant disciple, but you're hit with a lot of, the allegations, the NCAA coming down hard on you for all those stuff. Antonio Langholm doing whatever he did, yada, yada, yada. And then you end up into the, Dennis Franchione, and then the Mike eras, and then Saban. So, I don't see us going in a spell from like a Stallings to a Saban. I don't see us kind of going into those dark years again.
No, we won't ever have that again. I'm not saying we won't hit a Saban run again, but we won't go through 3-9, 4-8.
Yeah,
again, not for a while.
If we did, it's not even a coaching problem. It would be like a management problem. Like, you don't nosedive that freaking hard unless there is a problem with the management as a whole.
Yeah,
it's not gonna. The infrastructure and the foundation is laid.
Stability,
now. And
yeah,
my only fear with DEBO is that he's so good, the NFL is going to come calling him.
Yeah, it could be. That could also.
If he has a 2-year run at Bama like he had at Washington, the NFL will come calling him a lot.
Yeah, if he gets, just thrown out, if he gets like a national championship in a short time frame at Alabama, somebody's definitely calling him.
Oh, I agree, 100%.
Especially with all the coaching drama going on in the NFL right now.
So this leads into my next question. Like, what's your realistic 4-year outlook?
Can we change it to 3?
No.
Damn. Okay. I need to make it to at least 3 to figure it out. Even though it's a year shorter.
So for my 4-year expectation for him is obviously it's hard. He's going to make the playoffs in 3 of the 4 years. I don't have any expectations for next year at all. But year 2, 3, and 4, at least he's going to be a playoff. We're going to be a playoff team. We're going to be one of the top 12 teams. This guy's not going to tank the program. I would say 2 SEC championship game appearances and 1 win, and then at least 2 to 3 playoff appearances. Like I said, next year is a throwaway. I don't even care about next year, other than getting to know him, getting to see the type of team, the way he calls a game, the way he preps a team, and listen to his coach show and all that, all the get to know him stuff as we lead into year 2, which is where, okay, no more, you don't have a pass anymore. Like, this is where you're gonna have to start winning now. Like, you get your pass, but you got to start winning now. And I don't mean like he has to go 12-1 in year 2, but if he goes 8-4 in year 1, and then like 10-3 in year 2, or 10-4 in year 2, whatever, you can see that. All right, then year 3, now we got something rolling here. But if it's like, 7-7 first year, and then 9-6 the second year, or whatever, if there's not markable improvement in year 2, then he's got to be legit in year 3 or he's out.
I would say 7-7 is probably the worst case scenario, and then
how many games they're going to play,
or 7-6, and then I feel like the factor that Georgia has not shown any signs of slowing down, and they retain their DC. Probably shows me that Georgia's probably going to be
Georgia might go on a run here. Georgia might go on about a 5 to 7 year run. Yeah,
and then who would be next on the SEC? To be honest, though, would it be like Texas, a Tennessee or
Texas?
Well, I guess Texas. Yeah, that's true.
That's the whole thing. Like when I was talking with Dad about it earlier too, with going into next year, it's so different. It's completely different. And then there's no divisions anymore, so it doesn't matter. It's the top 2 SEC teams. And then, with the playoff, it's like this. Okay. So it's supposed to be the 5 conference champions, right? Well, the Pac-12 is no more. So it's really 4.
The Pac-2.
I don't even know if you can count that. I really don't know if you can count that as I'm being serious.
At least you know you're going to the championship game for the conference.
Sorry, once FSU joins it, they'll be the Pac-3.
That'd be a cool logo, you know. Like
Pac-3. Hey, two West Coast teams, one East Coast team.
Only took $500 million for them to go to the ACC to the Pac.
Yeah, it's just Pac now. It's not even a number. It's just Pac.
Just Pac.
You paid $500 million for that?
Yeah,
Pac Boys for life.
Hey, and our own network.
Trust me, it's better than the ACC. Well, that's
true.
Cool.
It's still somehow better.
It's still better. The Pac-3 is still better than the ACC.
Okay, so did y'all actually hear there's some like wiggle room within that like agreement that A&M and all that, or I'm sorry, not A&M, that Florida State.
They're trying to get their grant of rights. That's the big kicker.
Well, apparently the buyout isn't nearly as much as what was thought to be stated. It was like supposed to be like 500 something million. It's only
it's like
supposed to be
512 million or something like that. Yeah.
Apparently, it's not that much. It's like 60 or 70, which is much more doable in a short amount of time. However, that's still a lot of money. That's
especially
how much,
when they had to tighten the leash on Norvell from him leaving.
Yeah,
he wasn't going.
Yeah, I know, but they did it anyway.
That's just how.
Man,
that's
Jimmy
how much.
Sexton is a genius.
Well, he just made his earnings for the next 10 years. For this
he knew exactly what he was doing. That's why all the coaches hire that dude.
After getting molested from Georgia, he somehow got a raise out of it.
Hey, lose by 60. Here's another $5 million.
I'd say they doubled his salary, lost by 60. All because Jimmy Sexton said, they might hire Norvell. Burton's like, wait, what? Who? Who's Norvell? I don't know who that is. Oh, Norvell. No, I'm on a plane to Oregon. What is he talking about? Too late. They already gave him an extension. Okay. And then he goes on and goes, I turned him down. I'm staying. Calm yourself down there, buddy. Can't turn down something that was never offered to you.
Yeah, I heard that.
You can't turn down something that was never offered. Lanning never turned it down. He was never offered.
Never offered. You think he was never offered?
I don't think Lanning.
Well, he came out and said that he was never offered.
So Sark passed. Oh my God, Mark. Who'd he beat? Kentucky and LSU.
Wow.
Anyway. Yeah.
Should have gotten
love you, Mark. I love you, dude.
Going 6-5 every
So you know Auburn fan?
Mark?
Yes.
Probably.
No, he's FSU guy. He's a big Florida State guy.
Oh.
So that's why I always give him. That's why I always bust him up.
Oh, well,
we
must be nice.
We've been trash talking each other for years, but that's my brother.
Must be nice. Hey, must be nice. Competing against one team a year to,
Love you too.
See, Hunter, you'll appreciate this. See, Montgomery has literally 2 hockey fans.
Yeah.
Myself and Mark. And
that's fair.
We
that's
formed
a fair statement.
We formed the Montgomery Hockey Club many years ago when we were in college, and are still the only 2 members in it all these years later. The MHC for life, Mark. He knows what I'm talking about. The Montgomery Hockey Club, kicking for years. He's from Pittsburgh, huge Penguins guy. I'm a Flyers fan, so that's how we met. We started talking trash to each other about the Flyers and the Penguins, and we just hit it off. And this was like 1997.
I love it.
We've been homies ever since. We were friends for like forever, ever and ever, and didn't even know we had the same birthday.
Oh wow!
So what was so funny was like every year we were always like, I always was thinking, well, that prick didn't text me on my birthday, and he was on the other side going, that prick didn't text me on my birthday, and it was like because we had the same birthday. So we were playing FIFA, and I was creating a player on FIFA, and I was like creating the guy, and I was like, when's your birthday? And he's like, August 20th. And I was like, shut up. And he was like, no, that's what it is. And I was like, you're lying. That's my birthday. And he pulls out his ID and he shows me. And I was like, okay, well, I've been friends with you for 12 years. Never knew when your birthday was.
Right.
Oh, good times, man. Old college life.
Hunter, I know when your birthday is, February 14th, buddy.
Easy one to remember.
He's
Easy.
at.
Easy.
He's at.
I would forget
Cameron-
if it wasn't a
hey,
holiday.
Cameron is December 19th or 20th. I remember his.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not even going to
I'm
guess
horrible with
Jeff's.
birthdays.
Hey, I'm not even going to guess Jeff's. And well, he just said August 20th. So there you go.
Good guess.
And there you go. And Fonzie, I'm not even going to try. Not even going to try.
We don't know.
He has no birthday. He was just here. One day he was just here.
He came, he conquered.
Yeah, hey, that's a good question. Wondering where Fonzie is tonight. Nashville's got a bunch of that wintry
yeah, we're gonna have some bad weather around these parts tonight. That's for sure.
Hey, we in the South are not ready for ice. So all of those viewers who end up watching us from up north, we have no idea how to drive on ice. We are
we can't drive when it's sunny and dry, much less when
That's
there's
also true.
cold
That's
and
also
ice.
true. We can't drive. We just can't drive.
Just go to Atlanta for 3 hours and you'll be ready to kill yourself.
Yes.
Exactly.
Just drive through Atlanta at 4 o'clock and then
6 lanes of chaos is what I call that.
Yeah, let me know how it is. Let me know how it goes.
Take it away, Atlanta individual.
Mark knows what's up.
Well, the strategy is to not drive at all. Just don't go.
And not drive at all. Just don't drive. Uber.
That's how it is in
You park
DC.
keys away and start walking.
Just don't own a car. If you live in DC, you just don't own a car. Just
Yeah.
cab,
New
Uber, or
York.
just walk.
New York. No
Yeah.
car.
Just
Subway.
cab it. No kidding. So, all right, we're getting back to DEBO here. We got back on track here.
Sorry.
So here's what shocked me. Decommitments and whatnot don't shock me every year. Every time you get a coaching switch, you're gonna have decommitments. You're gonna have roster turnover. What kills me is like how quick these wide receiver commitments we have, like French and Hollywood, like immediately decommit. I'm like, do you not look at this guy's offense? Look at his receivers that play in this offense?
I don't think they do.
Like, why would you be a receiver and just dismiss this hire and not even give the guy a chance?
Bothers me a little bit more. I would say Jamie French, he's 2025, so it's a whole nother year. He'd probably at least get to see how it plays out. But Ryan Williams, I'll agree with you to the extent on that. The only reason about the Jamie French thing is because he's got a whole nother year coming.
Okay, I didn't realize he was 25.
Yeah, he's a 25.
Ryan Williams reclassified.
Yes.
And jumps back in, and now he's got like a list of teams, and he's like, somebody needs to stand out. And I'm like, how about the guy that runs the offense that gets you 1,800 yards receiving in a season? How about that guy?
To be honest, in my opinion, granted, I don't know Hollywood at all, but it's almost like, thank goodness I don't want you.
It's like Antonio Brown. It's like, do we want to deal with this?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a stud. Yeah.
Do we want to deal with this? Like, basically.
Said it in text messages. Sounds like a prima donna is what it sounds like. And I was
probably going to play one
season
season with us and transfer anyway. Yeah.
Do we really? I would rather have a guy who's fully committed who can put up a consistent 600 to 700 yards than a guy who can be,
Well, with Milroe at quarterback, that's going to be the leading receiver. Is going to have about 600-700 yards. So maybe it's a Milroe. Maybe they want to play with Milroe for a year. I don't know, but I like to think that Jalen will get in the lab in the offseason and
with this guy,
really sharpen the quarterback part of his game, not just the physical freak or the fast runner who can hit a deep ball every now and then. But he needs to hone in his ability to play the position, to read what the defense is giving him, pre-snap checks, pre-snap calls, be able to hit.
Learn how to read a defense. Needs to learn how to read one slant route. And I went back over a couple games. I'm going to say that they were the latter 6 games of the season because you judge the first 6, I still, unfortunately, after looking at everything, I worry about his decision making and his ability to read a defense. I really have big concerns in that. And maybe that, with Ty staying and, Sayin is now there. We've got to keep him somehow, some way. My thing is,
I think that guy will be locked in when he gets a glimpse of what this.
I agree.
What DeBoer runs,
but he's also going to have to beef up because I don't think he's big enough yet. And I was worried about it with Bryce.
Isn't Grubb the QB coach too? The new OC, isn't he the QB coach too?
Yes.
Who Saban wanted to hire last year.
Yep.
So that's pretty funny. To be honest, I feel like at this rate, if he wasn't going to stick with us, we would have known it by now, just in the way the world works now.
Yeah. I think the second that Washington told him he wasn't going to be a candidate, that he was already on the way. Yeah. But I mean, I like the offensive staff that he's bringing with him. Like, I'm really optimistic about the staff. I hate that. I'm excited about the O-line coach because the Washington won the Joe Moore Award last year. But then you watch the Michigan game and they got slaughtered. So I'm like, well, were they really that good? But then you watch the Michigan game against us and they whipped our offensive line.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe Michigan just has some freaks.
I wouldn't hold that game against them, to be honest.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, and then you look at it and you see some of the transfers that they have from that line coming out, undersized. Yeah. When they're looking at the center who was.
But see, ours were beefed up and we got whipped too. So Michigan just had studs.
They did have studs.
Here's the thing: theirs could snap correctly. That's
the guy who just went into the portal for Washington was a snap correctly for 2 years for him.
Oh, Washington center just portaled?
He did. He just went into the portal. In my opinion,
well, we need a center.
Hey, he's about 25 to 30 pounds underweight. I think we could get him.
We'll beef him up easy, man.
I think he'd be great. I really do.
Deep fried cooking down here. We'll beef him up quick. Put him with Proctor for 2 months. He'll be 350.
Oh, yeah. We don't need him that big. We need him about 310. 310. No, I did hear if we can get that guy. But, with how everything is, as I said, I've moaned about it about the entire podcast, I know. But a transfer portal, we've got to have some pickups here because I know a couple are about to continue to leave. I know I'm not going to mention any names right now. I know there's some other stuff going on. I think we lose about 2 or 3 more players that we are not expecting to lose. Do I know who those are? I know one that we possibly might lose. 2 others are probably going to be shocks to people. But hopefully, I mean, I don't know, guys. I never thought I'd see college football like this. I'll be honest with you. I never thought I'd see it to this extent to where it was just like free play.
It's not collegiate sports anymore. It's just another sports league.
I mean, you might as well just go watch influence. Hey, you might as well just go watch college basketball because at least they have some stability to their chaos. So, and then baseball, that's a whole nother game. So,
I mean, I don't know. I hate this flux part of a coaching change where you're in between staffs and still getting this and getting who's going to stay and who's going to go. And it's like every 5 seconds, somebody else enters the portal. And I'm just like, I don't care anymore. Like if you don't want to be here, then get out of here.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Be gone. 100%. We'll replace you with somebody that does. Maybe they won't be as good, but they'll want to be here. And there's something to be said for them.
They care about this right here. They'll care about this right here, the big A, all right? Because when it comes to college football, to your point, Jeff, when it comes to college football, we have our teams that we love. It's not like the NFL. There's teams that you really like. There's players that you like. But especially down here down south, we love college football, and we love our universities. Even Auburn loves their stuff. We love our stuff. LSU loves their stuff. Florida, the Gators love their stuff. The Razorbacks love their stuff. I cannot preach it enough. You have got to get a handle on this. Whoever is the powers that be, get a handle on this because This isn't what I saw college football 4 years ago. I love college football. It's one of the best things ever. You get to see some of the stuff from West Virginia and Virginia Tech having that big thing out in Bristol Speedway. Over 200,000 people coming to watch that. Name me an NFL game that'll do that. 200,000. They love it.
NFL has its core. I mean, they're the number one.
They do.
They're the number one pro sport in terms of ratings and revenue and all that stuff. It's not even close.
When it comes to TV stuff, yes.
Just wait till UFL starts, baby. Let's go.
Hey, they merged with the XFL, so what could go wrong? Now they have 6 teams instead of 3.
I will say I'm glad Birmingham survived. I'm glad they survived.
Hey, they survived, and guess who? Guess who they picked up?
Is Bob Stoops still the coach?
Who did they pick up?
Bo Scarborough, 7th round.
Oh, nice.
Hey, he was their starter last year. There's a reason why he was going to be their starter again anyway. So, I mean, the guy just went off last year. We already know how good Bo Scarborough was. Honestly, the guy is good enough to probably get a shot for some NFL team. But
played
the guy
for the Lions for a while. He
did. And he also played for the Cowboys. Played for the Cowboys too.
Even Foster was playing on a USFL team. I can't remember what. But
Pittsburgh Maulers.
Yeah, that's what it was.
The Maulers. Because I was hopeful that would get him a tryout with the Steelers when we lost our 2 starting inside linebackers, and then we lost the backup 2 starting inside linebackers. So we're down to like practice squad linebackers, and I was like, man, roll the dice on the wrecking ball. Why not?
Dude, Sinai, how good was freaking Reuben Foster? I saw a compilation of like his biggest hits. Holy cow.
Don't bring that, Hunter.
That man with the guys in corners.
Why, Hunter? Why did you do that?
He was my favorite linebacker of all time.
The guy was a literal
dude, when he would truck
missile.
Fournette of all players.
Is that when he had the extended neck brace because the guy could not tackle right?
Yeah.
Well, he learned by the time he was a senior because he was a wrecking ball.
That was the biggest thing.
We 2016.
We were like, this guy's going to be so good. And then he goes and gets an Auburn tattoo. And we're like, oh, crap. And then he commits to Alabama and still has the Auburn tattoo on his arm. So they're like, you're going to have to get that removed. And you're like, all right, cool. You did it. And for the first 2 years, guy was a missile.
Just a special teams.
That's all he could do. Just come out there. And he could,
because we were so deep in linebacker, like special teams, only place he could get.
He kept getting stingers in his neck because he couldn't tackle right. So they put one of the mold style horse collars on it.
Cowboy collars.
And his thing like stuck up like to here. It wasn't just like the old
above his helmet. It was
like way up here, man. It was like way up here.
What did Reuben Foster teach me? Never mess with a guy with a freaking cowboy collar on.
No, don't mess with that guy. That guy's lethal.
He was the baddest SOB that I'd ever seen. As good as
he's one of those few players.
Ro
he would make a
McClain
tackle. I would actually like flinch, like physically like flinch, like holy cow.
I remember in college, I saw some of the hits he had, and I was like, oh.
The best hit was one of the best hits he had was that USC trounce.
Yes,
they ran that toss sweep, and that running back was like really huffing to the hole, like he was about to break something, and then Foster just comes out of nowhere and puts him out of his shoes almost.
Obliterate.
911. I would like to report a murder.
And I remember
him back 25 years into the past is what he did.
I think Fowler or whoever was commentating was just like kind of chuckled. It just kind of went, welcome to football. But like he took that toss sweep, like I'm fixing to hit this hole and be gone. And Foster just shot out of a cannon, man, and just annihilated him.
Timeout. Is that the USC game where they came out acting like they were about to whip us and we put 56 on them?
That's the only time we've played them recently I can think of. When did we have we played them any time other than that year?
Not that I remember.
No.
That was
20 years? No.
14, 15, 16. That was 16.
16. Because Henry and everybody was gone, yeah.
Yeah, because
Jalen Hurts.
Blake Barnett
started the game. Oh.
And had left the team before the game was over.
Pretty much.
Just about. Yeah, that was an interesting go-around. But I don't know, man. I think Saban need to be a fool to bail out of this. Like, this guy's offense is a quarterback and receiver's dream. Even running backs even getting open space with this guy. So I'm like, A-Day will be fun. Although A-Day, they never really show you anything. Give you some basic stuff.
I always get way too excited for A-Day just because I'm hungry for college football to come back. And it's like, that's...
I get excited for it because like I get to see some Bama football. And then like after about 4 or 5 minutes into watching it, you're either asleep or you've moved on to something else.
Yeah. I hype myself
fall asleep while watching it
every year.
What you need to do, fall asleep while watching it. You wake back up, it's still on. You're like, oh, they're back. All right, cool. All right. It's okay.
First A-Day game I went to was 1995 A-Day game. Ooh. It was the first year after Jay Barker left, after he graduated in 94. You know, when he'd started for like 3 years, 92, 93, 94, he started every game. And this was back when, you know, quarterback stats were not impressive.
No.
But he won like 35 games in a row or something like that. So that was his claim to fame, was his winning. You know, he won all these games in a row and he was undefeated as a starter up until a certain point. And whatever. And but he was not a good quarterback at all. Like at all.
In today's
so I went to that A-Day game.
Okay. He might be.
Brian Bergdorf was QB1 in that A-Day game I went to.
What was that? Brian
Bergdorf.
Bergdorf.
He was the backup in 93 and 94.
I'm going to guess that he did not start.
He started. Didn't finish.
Didn't finish. All right. There you go.
Didn't finish, but he started because there was a young fireballer in the QB depth chart by the name of Frederick Kitchens.
Oh, Freddie Kitchens. Oh,
was
lovely
on that team. And I think because of injuries or something, Freddie wound up having to play that year. And then it was like the QB musical chairs in 96.
96, yep.
Kitchens was in there for some. And who else was the quarterback that year? That 96? I can't remember, but Kitchens played some and somebody else played some.
This is before I started watching. And I know he played into maybe the early 2000s. Andrew Zhao. When did he what was his length? I know he was played like quarterback for them for like 3 years. Was his like late 90s, early 2000s?
Zhao was there in 2000. He was either there in 2000, 2001, 2002. Or maybe he was like a backup in 99, you know, backup in 2000. He played in 01. And then he and Tyler Watts, I think, split time in 02 or 03. I can't remember what year that was that he and Tyler Watts split the reps.
Tyler Watts is now the color commentator on the Alabama Sports Network. He took over John Parker Wilson. So,
yeah, I wasn't a fan
John Parker Wilson.
Yeah.
The greatest quarterback pre-AJ McCarron?
Yeah, pretty much. Stat-wise, yeah. Career-wise.
I know, that was a joke.
Yeah. Like when he broke. I remember in 08 when the record, when he was like, oh yeah, and then like he passed for the most career passing yards or most passing yards in a season. And then the next play he decided to run. And he made it like 3 yards and just got absolutely annihilated. And I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
This is what we are. But
lost us the LSU game that year, 2007. But then he won it for us in 2008. But so, you know.
Remember this one? Call me.
Talking about Tebow?
They did it to John Parker Wilson, too. His number got spread out before the LSU game.
Okay.
In 08.
Oh, that's right, because it happened to him. That happened to Tebow a couple years before that, in 06 or something like that.
I've never seen that, yeah.
Because he was doing that too when he was whipping whoever they were playing.
It was either LSU or Georgia. I can't remember who it was.
Probably an LSU.
Yeah, that sounds like an LSU thing to do.
Yeah, it sounds like an LSU thing to do.
So I don't think we have any defensive staff named yet other than Roach.
That's what I'm trying to check.
I think he's the only one that's been retained, which is a good retention. I like Gillespie being retained. So the talk the last several days has been about Travaris Robinson being the DC. And everybody's like, got to hire him. He's got to be the DC. That's the number one priority. I'm like, is it though? I mean, is Travaris Robinson the whole key to this whole thing? I mean, maybe I don't know enough about him. I wasn't impressed with him last year coaching the cornerbacks. They were okay. I thought the safeties and cornerbacks were better this year. So I thought he did better this year. But I don't know. I don't know how he is a defensive coordinator. He didn't win any awards when he was the DC for Muschamp at South Carolina.
Yeah.
So was he any good then? I mean, is he? I know roster retention is really important right now, but do you sacrifice getting a good defensive coordinator in order to keep Caleb Downs for one more year?
Well, and that's
as great as Caleb Downs is. I mean, an NFL player right now. But do you sacrifice the defense just to keep him because the next year we're gonna have to re-recruit him next year, unless he's like on board, if he's a Bama guy. But he from Georgia, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you saw the thing after
Jake Pope bailed out and went back to Georgia, and I thought Jake Pope was going to be in line to start.
Wasn't Earl Little from Tallahassee, and that's partly why he went back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I knew
that right there, if we were to lose like Jake Pope, that one doesn't hurt me nearly as bad, but Earl Little, and if we lose Caleb,
yeah, that's gonna suck.
That's really gonna sting.
But I can't believe Travaris Robinson is the key to Caleb Downs staying in Alabama. I just can't make myself believe that if not for Robinson, he's not staying. Like, I can't make myself believe that.
I don't know. I don't know anymore because
we've got to hire a defensive coordinator soon.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I keep looking at everything here, and
we've got to know.
Not seeing any new news as far as it goes.
It's hard to argue with this guy.
What would your predictions be, if anything?
Who are you talking to? Me or
Dale? I was hoping Schumann would want to come over and coordinate his own defense, not have to split the duties with two other people. Well, if Muschamp steps back into an analyst role, then have to share the duties with somebody else. It's like he's been co-DC long enough. Is he like, I'm fine here until I get that head coaching gig, or maybe wants a new challenge to go out and actually be the sole coordinator of a defense.
Right.
But I don't know. But that's really who, like, I wanted my first choice to be Schumann. But I don't know. Charlie Strong's in the building. I don't know if that's an option. I don't know. I don't even know if he's in the building anymore.
I thought he left.
Who's Durkin? That guy from A&M. Was he the defensive coordinator? Did he suck? Is that why he's not there anymore? Because he got canned last year, right?
Hold on 1 second. Am I frozen on y'all's end? I'm sorry. Just
your picture is, your audio is not. Your picture is.
Gotcha.
I can hear you.
My stuff's messing up here, so I'm having some tech difficulties. Might have to join y'all back, but yeah, I agree. It's got to have some stability for sure on the defensive side.
So I guess once the coordinator gets hired, the other pieces will start falling in place. I don't know if he's going to retain Bala, the inside linebacker coach. I really liked him. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah.
No word on whether he's going to be retained. The special teams guy, I like the one he's bringing from Washington. I think they have good special teams. Love the receivers coach he's bringing with him. Love the offensive coordinator, the offensive line coach. Their center just portaled. So we need a center. I'm hoping Brockermeyer's the next guy up, but if this guy's ready to go now, I don't want to go through growing pains with a center again.
I was more excited about, the prospect of having a good O-line again more than anything.
Yeah. So that could be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Is that Washington, the Washington Center? That could be something to keep an eye on. But
yeah. But I was actually kind of shocked that we didn't hear any news about like a defensive side of things.
I thought we'd have one today. Like I thought today, like by lunch, he would have made an official announcement.
Retirement was like a few days before Saban's, right?
Yeah.
That's probably what.
But he was still at the complex because there were clips of him leaving the complex at the day after Saban's retirement too.
Yeah, they were kind of right, but he was definitely before, so they knew.
Because the joke was like, does people in Alabama not know how to retire?
Yeah.
Because it showed him leaving too. It's like, God, Steele. So I mean, I have no idea who even the front runner is or who even an option is. I have no idea.
It's just Saban as an interim defensive coordinator.
Belichick's looking for work.
Oh,
how about Saban and Belichick co-defensive coordinators? How's that sound?
That would also be a dream come true.
Or Belichick would be the DC, but Saban would be the consultant. He'd still be.
Yeah. Just for the interaction of those two. DC. I don't care if we lose every game that season. That'd just be fun to watch.
Fun to watch the two of them.
Yeah.
What is Vrabel doing? Reunion. Does he want to come coach defense? Vrabel can be a DC. Yeah. Come on. I do like that guy he brought with that Courtney Morgan, though. Is that his name?
I think so, yeah.
His GM is what he calls him. I think that was a huge piece. That was a big piece.
He was like on the plane with them when they flew down, right? Yeah.
Yeah. He was wearing some sick Jordan 1s when he got off the plane.
Yeah. So you can tell he's kind of the glue.
Yeah. And then like Reggie Ragland posted something about he had just talked to him. He was like, just talked to Courtney. That's my dog, So I'm like, all right, if Reggie signs off on this guy, then, I'm on board. Whatever he's going to do, whatever his role is, whatever they have him do is GM or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then McElwain's son being on staff too. Like this,
that's so crazy. I mean, you look at when Saban brought him on as OC, and then now his son is somehow involved with Alabama. That's just we getting old, gentlemen. We are getting old, and it is.
I mean, you see that a lot. Like legacies come through. It's crazy how many kids Saban taught of a dad that he taught or that he coached, back at Michigan State or something.
Garrett Nussmeier for LSU, who's going to be I think the starting quarterback for them next year. I mean, his dad Doug was our OC from 11 to 13 or 11 to 12, something like that.
It was just 1 year. Was it 2 years he was there?
It's possible.
I thought it was just 1 year he was there. Could be wrong, but I just need something. I need an announcement. I need DEBO to come out and say, here's my staff, and just hold up a sheet of paper or something. Or put it on his Twitter or something so we could see, because all this every time you go on Twitter, there's some other account speculating something. Speculating this. Rumor is this, rumor is that, but you never hear jack from DEBO. So I'm like, give me something. DEBO.
I'm okay with it because at least it's open for interpretation, because that's
it gives us something to do on our podcast, gives us something to talk about. So, I appreciate him giving us that courtesy of giving us some subject matter. But anyway, it's like, man, I just this limbo thing kills me, and we had to do it every year with Saban.
If it does more damage than good, basically,
But we had to do this every year with Saban. Every year we would have to replace both coordinators, it seemed like, except defense for like that 8-year stretch. But once Kirby left, it was like a revolving door, especially on offense, except for somehow Golding has the second longest DC tenure.
All right. So I'll give Kirby credit. He was the one that's actually it took a Georgia for them to prime away from us.
So what is Pruitt's thing? How long is his?
6 years.
Holy God.
Yeah, he got jacked up. His show cause, I think, is 6 years. So ain't nobody touching that dude. Or if somebody hires them, they have to pay like a really hefty, like penalty, so to speak.
Is that what you call the golden handcuffs?
To release him from the show clause.
Yeah.
Now I obviously don't have it in front of me for 100%, but I thought I read that. I thought that's the report that I read about that.
You've piqued my interest. Now I've got
it. It was like 6 years or something like that, because I was all thinking Kevin Steele for a year, then he's going to retire, and Pruitt will just be an easy hire. And then he got the sanctions, whatever. It all came down. He was fined. He was suspended, banned, whatever. Show cause for 6 years. I mean, it was pretty hefty. Like Phil Fulmer hooked him up. Like he took the fall for all that.
You are 100% right. 6-year show cause.
Okay. Yep. Otherwise, I think he would have already been hired.
Yep.
And I'd have been doing backflips. Give me DEBO calling offense and Pruitt running the defense. Jeez. Was Pruitt DC in the 15, 16, 17 run?
16, 17. Yeah, 16 and 17, because Kirby was still with us in 15. So it was 16 and 17. Then Pruitt left.
So the first Clemson game we had Kirby.
Yes.
Because this is what, his 8th year at Georgia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. God, can you believe it's been that long? It's almost been a decade.
It feels like yesterday.
Like, 15 would have been his last, and then he left and took the Georgia job.
My goodness.
Pruitt was there till he went to Tennessee. But
I think it feels that way because I think with Kirby, I was a little worried about his career at Georgia because he was kind of falling into the previous Georgia coach's dilemma, where his stats are amazing, but he couldn't close until they didn't.
Well, they did 21.
But Saban retired. Kirby's 1-5 against him. So
who's Georgia's previous coach? I remember
Mark Richt.
Mark Richt. I remember liking Mark Richt as a coach, but he just could not close.
Very, very similar, but again, to your point.
And he went to Miami, and he was at Miami for a couple of years before he retired.
He would always have amazing talent around him too.
Yeah, he did fine with Miami for like 2 or 3 years.
A couple of years,
and then it kind of hit the fan, and then he retired, and then they hired who they hired? Penn State head coach. No, not Penn State. A Duke head coach.
It was the guy that wore the tie. Wasn't that after Richt? What was that guy's name for Miami that wore the tie? He didn't last very long either.
I'm trying to remember.
Oh, well.
Who's the guy who just got hired for Duke?
What's up? What's up, Nicholas? I don't have any whiskey for you, but I got a bottle of water for you tonight, Nick.
Cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
I have no idea.
We're just on here griping about coaching searches. Nick sent me a funny text. He wished me a very hang on, I'm gonna read it to you because it was kind of funny. Wasn't kind of funny, it was really funny.
It's really funny.
Let's see. Yeah, he said been a tough last couple of days for you with coach retiring. I bet Couch Cashers was lit, LOL, and I was like, yeah, we did an episode, we burned it. And I said, I don't know how y'all sat through so many coaching searches, man. It's making me nuts. And he was like, don't worry, you get used to it. He said, but apparently rumors are going to be the Washington guy. Is that true? I said, yeah, it's official. He said, well, I wish you a very Brian Harsin-esque luck to you all.
Brian, okay, you want to know the difference in hires? Brian Harsin came from Boise State.
Hey, so did Houston Nutt, if you guys remember that guy.
Holy crap.
He was a thorn in Alabama's side all those years.
He was.
Darren McFadden.
Well, hey, loaded with talent. What can I say? This was a different era. All right.
Yeah.
Different era.
So that's something else I wanted to get into on this episode tonight. I looked at Kuiper's draft projections. You know how many players we have on it?
for first round. Is that what we're saying? 3.
Offense.
3.
Offense, not total. Offense.
3. No. 1. Lineman.
He had a very significant play on the last play of the season this year. What happened on the last play? Who tackled Milrow?
J.C. Latham.
Who tackled Milrow on the last play?
I had to think about it because I was about to be like, last play. Definitely not Seth McLaughlin. So, and definitely not Milrow. So, yeah. J.C. Latham. J.C. Latham.
This is a good question.
I mean, the guy is a first rounder, yet got blown up by a guy.
A real question.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about hiring coaches?
This is a good question.
Seems like more often.
Well,
there's data to support that.
I agree with it because in today's age, unfortunately, you're going to start seeing this more and more. Unfortunately, retaining a staff is just not going to happen. I wish those days.
This was the question, Hunter. I don't know if you saw the question.
Okay.
It just depends on the guy, I think, because Saban wasn't an SEC guy when LSU
he was a
hired
Michigan
him,
State guy. I mean,
and he was
LSU.
fantastic. But Saban's I guess it's a rare breed, so you can't really say, well, Nick Saban did it because that's a different animal.
Sorry,
but,
I didn't read the last part of it. So my bad.
He said, "Seems like
it's more of like a foundation. If like it's not just one person, it's the team around you, and that's why I know the big knocks against Coach DEBO. So he's never recruiting the SEC. Okay, well then he has some other guy do it for him. It's not one guy.
Nobody has until they have. So it's like at some point you've got to. So it's like he was going to get down here at some point. If he was going to be that much of a winner, somebody in the SEC was going to fish this guy at some point. If we didn't do it this year and he goes 14-0 next year, whatever, somebody's going to fish him. So that's a hard transition to make. I think usually the first year or two, the worst, getting used to that different landscape. Between
that and inheriting,
the program will sell itself. It'll sell itself.
Yeah.
So, but that's a good question. I mean, that's an interesting question. Because not everybody can do it. There's a rare few that can come into the SEC as an outsider and be successful, consistently successful. It has not happened a lot.
So, me reading the last part of that, thank you, Jeff, for popping that back up for me to read and seeing that. No, I agree. I mean, you find it really hard for a lot of these coaches outside of the conference to resonate with the people who are players and staff, really, to resonate with the players of that certain area from that certain lifestyle. And then you're out used to coaching in the Northwest up in the mountains. That's a whole different lifestyle than what's down south or out in the Midwest or up north. I mean, it's a whole gamble is what it is can you make it work?
I think he'll be all right.
It's follow
See,
up.
this is funny you asked this because we talked about this earlier where it was like 3 years if he's fizzling. That's it.
I think that's a fair. I think 3 years is fair.
Yes.
Think about like our other viewer. That's the FSU fan. Norvell had 3 years.
Yeah.
And the first year with Norvell was god awful. Second year was pretty bad too. But there was improvement. There was, and then by year 3, he actually went undefeated in the ACC, and that's pretty and now has like an $80 million deal. Like,
did he just finish up his 4th year or 3rd year?
I think it's 3rd year. Correct me if I'm wrong.
He's going into
this was his 3rd year, so this will be his 4th year. 2024 will be his 4th year. Okay,
it's pretty impressive. When FSU was already in a rough, he inherited a lot of bad stuff with that program. Whereas, and that's why I think it's going to be different with Coach DEBO. It's not like he's inheriting a bad system.
Yeah, this will be the first time he's inherited a juggernaut.
Yeah, that's why
Fresno State and Washington were train wrecks the year before he got there.
Yeah, I would truly.
Oh hell, absolutely, Nick.
Yeah.
Oh God,
my argument out the window.
100%, 100%. That guy made his salary in 1 year to last him for the next 12 years.
For college coaches. That's who he is. He's Scott Boras for college coaches. They're all going to hire him by the end.
Yeah, DEBO, just win an Iron Bowl. They sign you on for 10 more years.
10 more years. That's all you got to do.
Oh my gosh! Can you imagine if he were to go? Let's say he wins the Iron Bowl this year. It's at home.
He should. It's in Bryant-Denny.
It's in Bryant-Denny. Yes.
He should.
Let's say he wins it, and then he goes to Auburn and wins it next year. 5-year contract extension.
It depends. If that's his only win of the year, no.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Oh gosh.
No, if he has a good year in year one, a better year in year two, he will contract extension. We're gonna have to give him
minimum 3 years.
He's got to. If he has the arc like he had at Washington, or if he goes 25-3 in the next 2 years at Bama, he'll either be in the NFL or very, very rich, or both.
How about this? Since we're doing a podcast and we want to make bold statements, my bold statement. He's got 3 years. Within that 3 years, if he doesn't win an SEC championship, done.
It's fair.
That's a fair.
That's my bold
expectation.
statement.
That's a fair expectation.
I'll give you that bold
3
statement.
years with with the train already rolling.
Yeah.
With this guy, like that's fair. That's a reasonable expectation. Now, if you're to say I expect 3 national championships in 3 years, okay, then we could say easy there, kid.
Hey.
But if you
3
can't
years,
get the SEC champ, yeah.
Yes. 3 years.
Let's see.
And has to
no
make
playoffs first 2 years. Impossible. He's out. The 12-team playoff. If he's out the first 2 years, he's gone.
Has to win.
One Iron Bowl win. Third year out in the first round of the playoffs, keeping him. No. Sorry, Nick. He wouldn't make it to the third year. If he didn't make if he misses the playoffs in 25, I'm giving him a pass for 24. Whatever happens in 24 is a wash. But if he doesn't make the playoffs in 25 or 24 or 25, with this 12-team expansion, I don't see how that can go well. I
think that's also a factor. The fact that it's going to be so much easier to squeeze into the playoffs. You
you almost have to. If you're at a major rig like this, you have to.
The SEC getting bigger, and it's really just 2 powerhouses now. It's the Big Ten and the SEC, and you're looking at 3 teams from each conference, 3 to 4 teams from each conference just being legit are going to be in it every year. And then you look at the Big 12 and the ACC, you're going to have 1 or 2 from them. But you still have to look at the other schools, right? To be fair, right? The non-Power 5. So I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't really mean like a full squad. I meant like a established powerhouse. Now I know the roster turnovers. Yeah, Bond left. Damn it. But I meant like an established thing. Like we weren't coming off a 3-9 season. That he's got to come in and flush the whole thing and reestablish a culture and reestablish, an area and all this stuff. He's like getting handed the keys to a Bentley, and it's like just don't drive it off the street, and you'll be fine.
I mean, I guess another close comparison you can make is almost like a Nate Oates. Yeah.
Hey man, Nick, we love any interaction from our one fan. Actually, we have 2. Mark was here earlier. From both our fans.
But I guess a closer scenario would be like a Nate Oates, where Alabama was not a powerhouse in basketball whatsoever. But Nate Oates, he stood there. Year 1, not that great. Year 2, improvement. Year 3, all right. This is Nate Oates' team from a staffing perspective and a player's perspective. This is what he picked, and that's when he proved himself. Well, that's when I'm expecting out of Coach DEBO.
In today's landscape, because it only takes you 2 years or 3 years really to get all your players in with transfers and portals and all that, and the portal and all that stuff. It used to take 3-4 years to cycle out previous staff's players. If there's a sophomore, redshirt, junior, but nowadays, guys, when you take over by the second year, guys that you didn't recruit, most of them will dip out.
That's a great point. By year 2, it kind of is your team by that point. It's I guess, yeah.
Yeah, that's true, Nick. And we still had a ton of action, like over 20 some odd players in 40. Remember, Saban was like 38 days between Shula and Saban. That was insanity.
Yeah.
I mean, golly. So, 48 hours is pretty impressive turnaround to get a coach of this caliber that was just in the national championship game. He didn't win it, obviously, but, I mean, he was just played for the championship game on Monday night and was the Alabama coach by, Thursday? And was in Tuscaloosa Friday night greeting fans and meeting the team by Friday night. That's a hell of a 4 days.
Hey,
it was apparently the second only interview.
Think how crazy this is. Both head coaches that were in the national championship. Possibility, one we already know of not being there, but possibility of both not being at the same school.
Harbaugh is back at Michigan.
From a legal perspective, I hope he doesn't stay in the conference.
Yeah. But has anybody ever seen that? Never.
Yeah.
Returning the same season, the following season, the following season.
Sure.
I mean, that's nuts.
That's crazy. Now, Harbaugh's obviously not out yet, but I can't believe I'll be shocked if he's back at Michigan.
I would too.
The NFL just seems to be calling him for some reason.
Chargers.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's
so many opportunities right now. I mean,
the NFL is hungry for coaches right now. That market is,
That's why my biggest fear is them with him. If he's successful, the NFL is going to come barking at him. I thought the Seahawks were trying to hire him while we were interviewing him. I thought the Seahawks were in on him too. We're calling him too, and I was like,
I heard a lot of buzz around the Chargers.
Squat off the Seahawks.
Yeah,
and the Chargers, right?
I could see with all of that, we could match with a good bit of NFL teams. However, when it got to the top-notch teams, we would struggle, and we couldn't pay. We couldn't pay what they could pay. So I don't know.
Saban seems to have signed off on this, so that says a lot. That, I mean, he is behind him. He was at the press conference, front row.
And I know the snippet
DEBO
that a bunch of those fans took about where Saban looked asleep and Miss Terry didn't look pleased and everybody didn't look happy with. Oh, I can send you the picture. I can show it. And Hunter, did you see it by chance?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
I watched the whole thing. He was laughing the whole time. He was smiling. You could see him smiling, greeting people afterwards.
It's the same with the freaking
it's a snippet.
Fan kid.
It's literally a snippet. It is a snippet of it's not the whole thing. Like you said, Jeff.
He's like mid-blink.
Yeah, mid-blink.
That's all it was.
Like, give me a break. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Nick saw it. It's out there.
Hey, it's good to know that Auburn fans are watching our next head coach stuff. You know, it's always good to know.
Man, you got to scout the competition.
God
You got
forbid
to scout, man. Scouting, man. You got to know what's up.
That's such a little brother mentality.
When Teeth McGee got hired last year, you know, I had to scout him.
Teeth McGee.
I did. I scout them all.
I'm sorry.
Not scout, but I mean, I do. I go read about them and read up on them and check out their stats and their rankings. Hey, that's true though, Nick, man. Y'all got a squad on basketball.
No.
And the women took down LSU Sunday
women's
too.
Basketball team.
So Auburn hoops is balling right now. Men and women. They're balling right now. Yeah.
Trust me, and I think Auburn baseball is going to actually be pretty decent this year.
I mean, there's only 2 undefeated teams in the SEC basketball right now. Both from the state of Alabama.
So,
yeah, this hire was eerily similar to the Nate Oates hire for Byrne. You know, Like,
yeah, you kind of call it, didn't you,
unknown guy from way out in BFE that wasn't really on anybody's radar.
The more you dug into him, the more you liked him.
Yeah, and I didn't know Shaq about Nate Oates when I heard that he was the front runner.
Was a freaking math teacher.
I said, huh? But you remember when when Avery Johnson was fired, all the buzz was about the Wichita Marshall, the Wichita State coach. That's all we heard about, just like Lanning for the first 48 hours or 24 hours. All you heard about was Greg Marshall. And then for several days it was Marshall. They're in contract negotiations. Marshall. Then guess who got a contract extension to stay at Wichita?
Marshall.
And then next thing you know, Burns on a plane with Nate Oates. So it's almost the same thing. I'm going to throw a couple names out there just to smokescreen everyone while I'm zeroing in on the guy I've wanted all along. And that's what he did with Nate Oates. And it looked eerily similar with DeBoer. Because he wasn't on my radar. Go back, listen to the show last week. I didn't say his name once. But Joel Klatt was all over it 2 weeks ago when he did his show. His top three were Sark, Lanning, and DeBoer. And he said, if it gets to DeBoer, that's your new head coach. And it never got to Lanning, and it got to DeBoer.
Yep. 100%.
So Klatt was all over it. Crazy how these guys know some of this stuff or can call some of this stuff, but I've never heard of this.
Raises out of it.
Hey, well, they are the professionals, right, gentlemen? They are the professionals.
And I didn't know who this guy was until I turned on the Pac-12 championship game to see the Oregon-Washington game. I'd never heard his name before.
I didn't know
who's
that
DEBO?
The guy's actually won either 2 or 3 national championships in NAIA with Sioux Falls. And I heard that and I was like, oh my God, that's insane.
Small flex. This is a small flex. Okay. This is a small flex. I understand it was NAIA. I get all that. The guy was 49-1 in conference. 49-1 in conference. And I think he went 10-0 his last 3 years there in the conference. 9-1 the first year, 30-0 the next 3 years in the conference. Now, granted, that's NAIA. I get it. I get all that. I get the competition, but you have to win the games you're coaching. If you're the head coach at any level, you try to win the games.
Guy's a winner.
He went 25-3 with a 4-8 team.
I think that's what makes me so excited with the resources he's about to get. If he can do that on that level,
getting myself excited
with an SEC level resources.
Winners plug in anywhere and everywhere.
It's what we've been kind of preaching. The whole thing.
So I'm hoping that he can bring it down here.
It's about, him not being from around here. It's about
maybe that's better though. It's almost better.
It's about utilizing the tools you have and the people and the staff that you have around you. People who are familiar with the area. What?
Hey, AUM was NAIA when I was there, pal.
That's true.
And they were the AUM Senators. None of this, whatever they are now, whatever division they are now. We were NAIA, the Senators. Our colors were brown and orange, like the Cleveland Browns. That's my college. Nick was the Huntington guy. Hey, at least Huntington's still the Huntington Hawks. They didn't change your colors or your mascot and erase your whole college existence. My high school, too. my high school is not here anymore. So,
is that Lee?
Yeah.
Oh, what a sad day.
So my high school Patriots are still throwing it.
My high school changed and my college changed. So it's I didn't go anywhere.
It's non-existent. It's not real.
Oh man, yeah. So but these guys, you just never know. Nate Oates was a winner, and he plugged in, and it took him a season to get his own guys in there, and then he was the SEC champ in year 2, and then the JD Davidson year where we were trash, and then the Brandon Miller year last year, SEC champs again. Winners fit.
Yeah,
but he's got. This is something Joel Klatt said on the show. I totally agree with it. He's got to be himself. He has to be authentic to himself if he's going to succeed here. He can't go Brian Kelly and come in with a fake Southern accent. when they introduce him in the game at Coleman, when's the next Bama game? Is it Saturday?
It is tomorrow, but they pushed his intro until next Tuesday, which is against Auburn. So there you go.
Okay. So
but no, I agree with what you're saying. You can't come in. You've got to be you. All right. It's all about being you. Be you. Don't be somebody.
Give me the Brian Kelly.
Exactly. Be you. Don't be somebody that you're not to appease the people. Be you.
That's all I can hope.
Because Nate Oates did fine. Nate Oates did himself.
He stayed true to himself. He let the offense do the selling.
Now he is an interesting individual himself.
I mean,
I'll say that.
Just like I said about Nate. Everybody's like, Nate's from Buffalo and Michigan and all that, in that area. How's he going to recruit in the Deep South? And it's like Nate just went in there. Nate goes in the living room, says, "Hi, I'm Nate Oates. I'm from Buffalo. New coach at Alabama. My offense shoots 43s a game. You interested? Okay, good to talk. Say, we'll sign you up. See you later." Oh God, Nick. Yeah, he was him, but for different reasons. Not for the football coach, but for all the fraternities around Pensacola, he definitely was him.
On the Pensacola. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Jeff, you'd know this. On the company credit card?
Yep.
Oh.
The Tide was a-rolling.
The Tide was a-rolling.
That's all right. I got him to autograph my Bama hat like a week before all that happened. So
it's all good. It's all good. Doesn't matter. It was
I still have the hat. I can never get rid of it. I'm going to hang it with my Dennis Franchione bobblehead doll.
Oh, you got to get like a shadow box for that freaking thing.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Nick, you can build stuff. Make me one.
Make me one.
Me and Nick are like the leaders of the DIY cheap ass club around this town. Man, we put some MacGyver stuff together to keep from having to go buy something.
Goodness.
YouTube mechanics, baby. Yeah, old Mike Price. Yikes.
Dubose. And then Shula.
That's why Norvell was never in the mix anyway, because his name was Mike. And we vetoed all Mikes.
No more Mikes.
Trash, baby. Mikes are trash. No more Mikes.
Shula ended up being a decent OC at the Panthers. I'll say that. And that's about it.
I don't know. I didn't follow him after he torpedoed my football program.
Yep. He was he ended up getting hired by the Carolina Panthers and then did decently.
Pre or post, or was it pre Cam Newton?
No, that was with Cam, I believe.
It was with Cam.
No. Was he there for Cam?
He was like,
because Cam didn't get there until 11.
Right?
2011 was Cam's first year, and Shula was OC for Carolina. Did he go some? I think he went to the Giants as an OC first, and then Carolina.
Yep. Yes.
Right.
So that's
he had Cam from 11 to 15. I want to say 15.
Okay.
Let's say that. I don't know. Somebody would fact check me. I don't know. All I know is he did fine. And I was like, okay, well, when you have Cam Newton in his prime, it's hard not to do well. So that's pre 2 shoulder surgeries. So
Rick had a funny post today. So Rick had a funny post today.
Cam Newton.
And he posted the clip of Joe Kynes' interview at halftime of that bowl game.
Oh, dear God.
Which is the reason that Nick Saban is our coach.
I wish you would post that.
Honest to God, this is my opinion. He's getting there, but he posted that video. But this is my opinion that Kynes was actually under consideration until that interview. And somebody finally woke up and said, okay, like snap out of this, whatever we were thinking here. And we got to take this seriously.
Kynes is still coaching, by the way.
Rick's question when he posted that video was, who's your favorite or most memorable assistant coach, Alabama assistant coach? that you can remember? So this is a deep dive question for real BAMs, because casuals don't really notice the assistant coaches that much, but I do. Us deep divers are. Us real BAMs are. So I had to get to thinking about that. For me to, and I think Lane was probably my favorite one.
We're talking about we're not deep into the position wise. Why
it could be
DC.
No, it could be whatever assistant coach was your favorite.
Oh man.
Whether he was a special teams coach or whether he was an offensive line coach.
I got you. South Missouri.
Forget about it.
No, the guy was legit when he was coaching our players. All right. He got the best. Okay, I'll say this.
Man, his son was a missile.
Then he was, but his other son was a quarterback at Pitt. Yeah. All right. So he had the tale of two halves on his sons. But South Missouri, he coached for us numerous years. Also, after his son left, went to Tennessee, coached for a couple years.
He came back.
And then he came back for a year or two. And I
liked old Sal.
He knew his football. And again, it's one of those things. It's an age kind of thing. People my age, people Hunter's age, we wouldn't take that kind of criticism probably pretty well, I would say. The way he but it's the way Saban was. It's just that grueling to get into you. It's not personal, which is a lot of times nowadays, players unfortunately feel like if a coach is coming down on them, and this is from what I'm saying, that they think it's personal. It's not personal. It's about to make you better, a better player. And, if I was never criticized in, whatever I did as a player when I was playing in, high school, it's the same thing with, in college players. Obviously it's a whole different level, but it's the whole thing. If I never knew when I was not doing, what was needed, then how could you ever get the best out of that player when they're, he was one of those coaches, Missouri, in my mind.
My philosophy is if they're not doing that to your face, that's when they don't even care. You are so below their radar.
100%.
When they're doing it to your face, that means I see something in you and I want you to get better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I want the best
out of you, Hunter.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to make players, it didn't matter if they were a 5-star or a 4-star. We'd make them the best they could be. And I just hope we can get back to that. I just hope we can figure it out.
Goes back to what I was saying, all these top recruiting classes, and then we get to draft time and we have one player on a big board on offense and 2 players on a big board on defense. Where's all the talent? We've been 1 and 2 in recruiting for the last 3-4 years. And where's all the talent? Why are we consistently not the most talented team on the field anymore? I mean, I know you could say portal and NIL and the portal and the transfer and all that stuff, but I mean, we're getting top 2 recruiting classes every year with Saban since he's been here, really. And all these players are in the NFL, but the last 3-4 years, where's all the talent gone from all these top classes? Are we not teaching anymore?
No.
Do we get them here and then the fundamentals fall off and then it's time to get to the pros and scouts are studying tape and they're like, this guy fundamentally is terrible.
Yeah. I think that's right.
What's happening?
I think that's 100%.
Where's all these players? Why we have one offensive player on a big board this year in the draft?
It goes back to this, Jeff. It goes back to this. With the NIL and the transfer portal, it's about what can you do for me versus becoming a better prospect for the NFL. If that's, and I don't really watch it a lot at the NFL. I'm going to be the first to say that. But here's the thing. If you want to be the most proficient player, you want to be the most desirable player, why not go play for the best universities that are going to develop you into those players, right? And I keep seeing this all this stuff. And to your point, Jeff, we have one guy who we're going to say is going to be in the first round, right? Where's Dallas Turner?
Well, he's on defense, so
I know
him and Kool-Aid are the only 2 first-round projections. Terry and maybe late first round, but
gotcha.
That's 3 total.
We might have 4, and for a lot of universities, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, 4 first-round draft picks from the same university might be fantastic." But
what's the record?
Us,
6?
6
or 7? I think Georgia has the record at like 7 first rounders or something. We had the record and they broke it, I think, recently. That draft after they beat us
Eagles
for the
clean house.
Yeah, I think the Eagles drafted like 6 players off that defense.
I don't blame them.
Over a couple of years. But their Eagles are trash now. The Eagles defense is garbage now. So
yeah, they're losing to the Buccaneers, I think, currently.
Maybe what's the score of that game?
I think it's like 16-9 last time I saw. There's a Devontae Jalen Hurts touchdown at least.
Oh, that's good. That helps. So yeah, man. So it's uncharted waters. Well, I mean, for at least 17 years. I mean, it feels like I don't know. It's like so real after he retired, and it was like the next day you woke up and it was like, man, Nick Saban's not our coach anymore.
I had to remind myself, like, he's not dead.
Yeah, they were laying like flowers and stuff and lit candles at the base of a statue, and I was like, he's not. He's right over there.
Yeah,
like, he's just walking the building. What are you guys doing? Like, go talk to him.
It was like a pit in your stomach. I was like, it's just weird.
Yeah, it's like go talk to him. Don't put candles at his feet, the statue's feet. He's right there. He's walking in the building. Yeah. That's not freaking dead. But it took. I mean, it still really hasn't set in. Even watching DEBO's press conference, and Saban's sitting there watching him, and I'm like, golly, this is real. Like, he's not.
DEBO's first game is going to be weird to watch.
Like, he's not. We are now like everyone else.
Yeah.
Other than Georgia, Georgia's got. Unless Kirby goes to the NFL, he's not going anywhere else. But we're now just like everybody else. We're in the unknown. We don't know what we're going to get next year. We don't know. If he's good, is he going to stay? Is he going to go to the NFL? We knew Saban was not going to the NFL.
And I kind of feel like Kirby's the same mentality where I don't think Kirby wants to go to the NFL.
I mean, he's got
unless I will say, unless college football somehow gets worse with this NIL and transfer portal crap, that's partly why Saban left Miami. I mean, because it was a different mentality.
At least in the NFL, you have a salary cap and a pay structure, and you don't have a 17-year-old prick bag that's never set foot in a live college game telling you owe him $1 million for him to come play for you.
And it's funny. I think Nick Saban even said it on the Pat McAfee shows, like, back when I was with the Dolphins, I remember probably why I left the Dolphins because I worked my butt off to recruit this one player, and I think it was like Aaron Rodgers or something like that, and then it just fell through. It was like, man, I did all that work, and it just meant nothing.
Yes, Breeze.
It was Breeze. Oh, it was Breeze.
They didn't clear his shoulder because they said, nope, his shoulder, we don't clear him physically, but we'll give you Dante Culpepper instead, which was the greatest thing ever happened to Alabama football, but still.
Right.
You just look at those things and you look at all those individual facts. So it's unfortunate, but for some of those brands, and then you look at Alabama, and thankfully that happened, and then 6 national titles later,
So I mean, it's just very weird. And I'm like watching the press conference, and they're playing these tribute videos on social media. And Kristen, his daughter, she put a video and just a little thing on Instagram that was like the end of an era. Alabama, I love you. The best 17 years of my life. And it was this touching video, and I'm just like tears rolling down my cheeks. And the Tom Rinaldi piece, as soon as you hear Rinaldi's voice, it's over.
Yes.
You might as well get Kleenex, man, because you're going to be sobbing. And sure enough.
The crazy thing about it was Saban.
I think there's no illness. That was my worry.
Yes, 100%.
And I'm glad it was no tour. How about that?
Yeah.
He just went out. And
it's like part of me is glad like that, but then part of me is like, at least I would have seen it coming. And I wouldn't have just.
honestly,
checked my phone one day and seen an alert.
Honestly, I think this was.
But this was probably the best way to do it.
This was the way it was going to end.
Band-Aid off.
It was win, lose, or draw. This was how it was going to end. I think
there's always one more season.
I don't think there was going to be one more season for Saban.
That's what you tell yourself.
Yeah,
I think that's what he said in an interview.
Oh yeah,
he's not going to stop. You're like, he's not slowing down.
SEC championship. There's always one more national championship.
Like he's got to be doing something. Miss Terry will like lose her mind if he's laying around the house up in her stuff all the time. It's like, but you can just tell it's different this year.
That $17 million house out there in Jupiter Island, Florida, is it's a heck of a way to say, I'm dipping out, So
all those car dealerships too.
He just looked. He just looked different this year. Yeah. There was almost just like a finality to it.
Melancholy.
Like the conversation he had with Kirby Smart before the SEC championship game. That conversation had such a different tone to it when they played that clip shortly after that game. And it was just like, man, that sounded really final. Like,
or even his
Kirby was
like,
Kirby was like, you're a hell of a coach.
Think about the most.
Thank you for everything you did for me. Like the way Kirby said that, it was like he knew this was the last time they were going to compete. And so, he was like, this is the last time we're ever going to compete. I got to tell you, you're the best to ever do it. I'll never forget what you did for me. It was like there was a finality to it. Because Saban jogged up to him and said, man, you were right when you said I'm getting too old for this. And it's like, man,
I'm getting too old for this stuff. And he's like,
you really start hearing stuff. And he didn't chew anybody out a lot this year. He was very mellow this year, much more grandpa-like. And you're almost just like, maybe just, 50 years of coaching is a long time. And having his daughter answer, she was doing a thing on Instagram where you could send her a question and whatnot. And one of the questions somebody sent her was, what are you going to miss most about your dad coaching? And she was talking about all this stuff and all this and all that. And she's like, but I'm telling you, it's going to be, I'm so looking forward to having a dad at dinner.
Yep.
And having a dad for breakfast and having a dad so we can go do a fun trip. Or, we can go take a trip to the beach and my dad will be there now, and he's never been able to do anything with us because of his schedule. And that when you marry into a coach's life, that. And, kids of coaches, understand that as they get older and understand what's happening, they understand it. So it was very telling what she said there. And I was like, man, it's just right. He's got a grandson now.
And a granddaughter.
Son has any kids. Okay. So his son does have kids. Okay.
Does have a granddaughter.
It's like, he wants to be granddad and, he wants to take family trips and come home and go, still have access to the program and whatnot, but get to just be a dad again. And, good for him. And who knows, maybe it'll take a year and he's like, this sucks.
Like a Tom Brady.
Hey,
yeah.
I'll say this.
So anyway,
and y'all will think I'm crazy. Y'all think I'm crazy. But he is. That man right there has a motor to him that does not quit. And he's going to be involved in college football for as long as his ability can let him, whatever capacity it may be. And I
think DEBO is going to suck knowledge out of him, just like absorb everything.
And he should.
He already has, I think. I said in the conference, I've already talked to him yesterday. I've already been in his ear today. He's already given me advice today.
I think it's more. I think it's he eventually, if he becomes the first CF college football commissioner, we'll call it that, he is the one. I really think, I mean, there's only like 3 or 4 people I would think that would be able to be that way. I think he's the guy to just get us back to that level of where we really care about our individual teams and we get some stability back to the game. And I hope we do get to that because, I mean, it's been crazy these past couple years. I'll say that, but
it's time to get back to some normalcy. I'll say that. That's it. That's all I got. But
this is definitely. This 17 years have been a blessing. We just need to sit back and count our blessings that we haven't had to live through the coaching carousel, that we've been, the standard in the SEC for almost 2 decades, and not being that anymore, and not going into next year knowing that we're going to be contenders simply because Nick Saban's the coach and he'll get us to contenders, which I think DEBO is going to do too. I mean, I keep harking back to his win-loss record, but that is something. That means something.
It means something.
And now he's going to have a competitive roster and resources and support, and he's going to have Nick Saban in his corner. Like,
to help.
He's had none of those things, and he's gone 104-12. And he's had none of those things I just said.
Now he has all the resources.
Now he has all of that on top of his coaching ability and whatever it is about him that is a winner. Now you're going to add all that stuff onto it. Like, this could be
I just want to see
successful combo.
I just want to see if, when the time gets, tough, and if it gets grueling, if he really wants to listen to Saban in those times.
So everything's been roses right now. Like, let's see when he gets some real adversity, how he handles the media, because there's going to be some tough questions, which Saban was the best at it. So he's got the godfather of press conferences, and dealing with the Alabama media right there with him. So that'll help him, So it's like there's no reason why DEBO shouldn't rip and run here.
Indeed.
But these players got to give him a chance. Meet the guy. Hear what he has to say. Hear him out.
That's what
we already talked about earlier.
He's still going to recruit these guys that have decommitted. He's still going to recruit these guys that have put their names in the portal. Nothing's final yet, so we'll see. But I need to get to the point where I know who's going to be here, who the staff is, who's on the roster. Like, I need to get there. Anyway.
Fonz's got a message for you, buddy.
What's that?
Fonz's got a message for you, by the way. He said, forgot that we moved it to Mondays.
He's very honest. Bleep. I forgot we changed to Mondays.
It's all good. All good, Fonzie.
It's okay. The Steelers, it was a rough patch there.
Oh, yeah. Expected that. But well, you guys got anything else before we sign off till next week? Next Monday night, Fonz?
Yeah. Indeed. Don't have to worry about Steelers football next week.
That's true. We can actually talk about NFL football, and maybe we'll have a defensive coordinator by then. We can maybe we'll have more of a staff in a week, and we can kind of break down the staff next week, if we've got one. So
we may be talking about Bama basketball. All right,
that too. 3-0 in the SEC, baby. Big road win. That was a big road win Saturday. That was a tough, dirty road win. Really down the stretch. Played really, really well down the stretch. Really clutch. I think 8-0 run to close the game. Hit some free throws. Locked down on defense. Grant Nelson was awful, but had like 9 rebounds, 3 blocks. Like, he was a stalwart defensively. Was in that guy's all game.
Well, see, that was
he was terrible offensively, but he played really good defensively.
And see, with someone like him, I really was crapping on him for the last couple of weeks.
Well, it was well earned. I mean, he earned it.
Well earned.
He's been
everybody. He was highly touted, right?
He was hyped up, and I still think it's the Sears show. It depends if it's a good Sears or bad Sears.
Sears or bust.
Yeah,
it was a close game until Sears started hitting some shots, and then we got a little breathing room and held them off. Yep. So, who do we play tomorrow?
Missouri, right? I think we play
Yes.
Missouri tomorrow.
That'd be a good one. Missouri's pretty good at basketball.
Is it at home? Is it in Tuscaloosa?
Yes, Coleman Coliseum. Give me 1 second to check to make sure it's right.
I think that's right.
Scores for. Come on, CBS Sports. Give me a right. Give me some. Oh, forgot to turn on the internet. Living out here in the Wooders.
It'll be fine. I think they play at home. They play Missouri either way.
Tomorrow, Missouri. Yes, 6 p.m. We play tomorrow. Missouri at home. Missouri.
That'll work.
Indeed.
Aiming for 4-0.
4-0. Let's go.
That's it. Got to do it, man. I think Coach Oates and DEBO, I think, will make a form a tight bond. I think that having Nate go through exactly what DEBO is going through right now, a few years ago, coming from an outsider, not knowing anybody around here, never having been in a house down here before. Some of these guys have been recruiting these kids since they're in 8th grade, So I think DEBO can really lean on Nate as well. And the experience and that Nate went through as he came from an outsider into the SEC. Wasn't following a legend, but in terms of relocating your family to Tuscaloosa, that kind of stuff. I think having Nate having just gone through that will be helpful.
If the exact same scenario plays out, I'll be happy. For me, that's enough. Yeah.
2 conference championships in 4 years. Yeah, I'll be okay. Now I don't want like a second round playoff exit twice in 4 years, but
no, I don't want that. But
I don't want a Sweet 16 exit, but that's all right. All right, guys. Well, this is a long show tonight, but we had a lot to break down, a lot to talk about.
And no
real
Rick.
Excited.
I'm missing Rick.
No Rick. I know
I'm
Rick.
So sad. Oh my gosh.
Rick had car trouble. We're gonna try to get Rick on with us next week so he can expound upon his Twitter comment that got him all kinds of heat and backlash from Bama Nation this week.
I was going to defend him tonight too.
Yeah, we were going to defend our boy Rick. So we love Rick, man. We're going to have Rick on. I'm going to try to get him on next week. Hopefully things line up next week, and then he can break down that but he's got pretty intriguing point. Yes. Regarding the search and Greg Byrne and some kind of stuff. And, it's a little bit critical. And so he's got a lot of backlash, but I'd love for him to come on and talk about it. So we're going to try to get him on next week. He was supposed to come on tonight and had some car trouble. So anyway, gentlemen, it's good chatting with you guys. Good hanging out with you guys. Fonzie, we missed you. Sorry you forgot the show was tonight. But next Monday, I hope to have you back to chime in on that as well. Hopefully Rick will join us, and hopefully we'll have some more staff members and a little bit clearer.
Coach DEBO, thank you for joining the show. I know you're a new listener, so
yes, he did the right. His most important move was finding the Couchcasters podcast so we could really get him set up.
Find us, Coach DEBO, please, for the love of God, come on, please.
Yes, we'll even play the music from Friday whenever DEBO shows up.
Yeah,
that movie.
You're welcome whenever. I know you're a big fan. That's probably the reason you came here.
He's riding that squeaky bike. Like he'll come ride through campus on that squeaky bike.
It's my bike. It is
my bike, punk.
My bike, punk.
You want some of this too, old man? No.
No.
Oh man, well, good show, guys. Looking forward to next week. Roll Tide forever. We in Coach DEBO's corner, 100%. We're behind the man. He's going to do great things here. I'm convinced. I'm just ready to get going. So love you, Coach. Thanks for watching.
Remember to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Thanks, Nick, for commenting. Thanks, Mark, for chiming in. Thanks for anybody that's watching now. Thanks, Heather Taylor, for her like on Facebook. We appreciate that. Thanks, everyone, for whoever tuned in, however many of you tuned in. We always enjoy interacting with anyone that likes to chime in. So best of luck with everybody. Roll Tide, guys.
Roll Tide.
Good.
Roll Tide.